All right, good evening to you all. This is Emmanuel Kadri, your regular host on Breaking to Tech. Today on Python programming, we are going to be dealing with Python data structures. And then when I say data structure, by saying data structure, I actually mean the arrangement of data in a specific manner, or you can simply call it the structure of data arrangements, or the structure in which data is being arranged. Okay, so that is just the very simple English that can be used without going into computer science detail, without going into all those computer science terms. But data structure in its ordinary sense simply means the way or the arrangement or the structure of data in computer programming. All right. So in Python, data may be structured in 4 ways, although I can say in 5 ways because there is another one called array. But array is like father to list. So which means in Python programming, if you want to form an array, you have to arrange lists in some kind of special ways, okay, to form an array. So, but array, as the way Python sees array, Python takes array in form of lists. You understand? So, but we will get to all of that later on. This particular video is just dedicated, this particular class is just dedicated to just explaining some things to you about these 4 things at a surface level. So I am doing some video recording that goes in depth over each of them, which you are going to, through which you are going to learn a whole lot. You understand? So, but this is just to prepare you for the video that I'm going to upload very soon. So you'll be able to understand and get along with the video very effectively. All right, so now we have 4 of them: list, tuple, set, and dictionary. Okay. All right, someone says my voice is not coming up clearly. All right, can you hear me better now?
Yes, we can. We can. I can hear you. I don't know
All
about
right,
others.
okay.
I can also hear you.
All right, good. So, all right, good. So we continue then. Now, um, like I said, we are going to be talking about lists, okay? So first and foremost, you should understand that is lists are used to store multiple items into a single variable. So like if I need to itemize the age of 10 students, instead of me to say age one, age 1 is equal to 40, age 2 is equal to 23, age 3 is equal to or age 3 is equal to 76, and so on and so forth. Instead of me having to do this, I can just simply create. So instead of doing all of these things, I can just simply create a single variable called age, and then I open a list and put all of those ages inside the list, and I have something like this. So instead of saying age 1 is 20, age 2 is 15, age 3 is 30, age 4 is 25, and we are having too many ages like that. So we could just, since everything is all about ages, we could just group everything into a single variable called age. So this variable that is carrying all of this age, that is bearing all of this age, is an example of a list. You identify a list by a square bracket. Tuple, for instance, comes in round brackets. Set comes in braces, that is in curly brackets. Do you understand? So, but list comes in square brackets. All of them have their characteristics and they also have their similarities. All of this I'm going to discuss later, but just follow me so you can have a good understanding of the whole thing as it goes. So what you need to know about lists and about the other ones too is that these items are arranged about list and tuple more specifically. Okay, is that these items are arranged, they are all arranged in indices, which means there is an address that you can use to refer to each of them. There is an address that you can use to refer to each of them. Okay, so that anytime you need any value from the list, you can be able to use the address to locate the value. This address is what we call index. All right, we call them index or indices. So the index, let me just put this in the notes. The address with which each of the members of the list are identified is referred to as index. Please take note of that. All right. Now, please also take note of the fact that the indices, please, the index numbering always starts from zero. Always starts from zero. Okay, which means that which means 20. Okay, 20 for instance is 20 is on index 1, on index 0, sorry. 20 is on index 0. Okay, 15 is on index 1. 30 is on index 2, and so on. All right, so I need to point to some people in the class so you can be able to tell me, can Mr. Omololu tell me what index identifies element 40? Element 40 in this list called age. On what index is it standing? Mr. Omololu, can you help me with that?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, can you help me with that?
I,
On what index
I
is
I'm
number
still
40?
I'm still struggling to understand the your explanation of the index.
All right.
Five,
The
five, five, five.
Okay, all right. Let me
Index
explain the
six,
index again. All right, please, you can all
please
mute
do.
your mic. Now, the index is like the address that we use to label each of the elements of the list. When I say element of the list, 20 is an element, 15 is an element. Every member of the list is called an element, okay? Each member is called an element. Now, this list needs to be addressed. Each element needs to be addressed, okay? For instance, I, so that if I need to use 25, for instance, I will use the address to refer to it. That okay, please, the guy that is standing on index so, I need it. Okay, so the address with which you label each of the list, each of the elements of the list, is called an index. Now, I said on line number 13, I said the index numbering always starts from 0, which means 20 is on index 0. Do you understand? 15 is on index 1, 30 is on index 2, and so on and so forth. So this 20 now, yeah,
I think I get the explanation now.
okay, good.
I
So
get
this
it.
20 is index 0. The address of this one is index 1.
Yeah.
So what will 40 be?
0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 40 will be 5.
Good. That is how it goes. So in that case, 22 will be index what? Family Lucy. Family Lucy, 22 will be index what?
Index 9.
Index 9.
9. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
index 9. So though we have 10 elements there, the highest index is going to be 9. because we started our numbering from 0. So that is something very important you should bear in mind. So then the thing is, why do we really need this index of a thing? I told you we need it to address the list. We need it to address each of the elements of the list. So now let's take, for instance, let's say I want to make use of age 15. I want to use it to do something, or maybe I want to display it. And then please, you can also display all the elements. All right, Richard, what's your question?
So can we count the indexes up to 10?
We can count the index to any number depending on the
Okay,
number of the elements present in the list. But the thing is
okay,
that we
alright.
always start our numbering from 0. So if a list contains 10 elements, the highest index you are going to have is 9. If a list contains 20 elements, the highest index you will have would be 19. If a list contains 25 elements, the highest index you have is 24, just because we started our numbering from 0. So is that clear to you now?
Yes, boss.
All right, good. So now, age, we can print this stuff. We can print the list. We can display the list by saying print, and we put the list. All right. So let me put it like this. To display the elements of the list in the console, we use to just to display the elements of the list, we say print. You know, the name of the list is age. Okay, so just say print age, and then we run the program. So by the time you run the program, it's going to list all the elements out for you. Okay, so that is how it goes. Okay, I think I wrote it twice. Okay, so by the time you run the program, you are going to have all the elements of the list this way. Now, the second thing I want you to realize is that you can also create a list. You can also create a list using the list method. You can also create a list using the list method. Now, let me explain that. So, which means you can create a list called girls, or let me still make it, okay, you can create a list called girls. You can create a list called girls and say girls is equal to, lists. Okay, you open this bracket and put anything you want to put there. List doesn't only take in numbers, it can also take in strings, and it can even take in combination of both numbers and strings. Very much allowed. All right, so you can say girls and say something like Shade, Lizzie. I know Blessing will want me to put her name there. All right, I'll put it. Blessing. Blessing. And then who else? Ruth. Ruth is also in the class. We have Ruth. Okay. So which means I've just created a list like this using this list method. So what you just do is that you give it a name, which is girls in this case. Then you say it's equal to lists. Then you open a bracket and put the elements inside. So by the time you do that, if you print it now, like you say print list or print girls, okay, you should have your list there. Okay. Sorry, I made a mistake. You're supposed to put double brackets. So I believe it should work now. Good. So, all right, so you see what we have here. If you want to create it using this method, you use double brackets. I made a mistake earlier. All right, so you say girls is equal to list. You open the bracket and then you put all the items of the list inside another closed bracket. And so by the time you do that, okay, when you say print girls, it's going to give you a list. So this is another method of creating list. You either create it by putting it directly into square brackets, or you create it by using the name lists, okay, using the method called lists, and then you open the bracket and put all the items inside. Open double bracket and put all the items inside. It will still give you the same result. It will also produce list. So which means if I copy all of this, and if I copy all of this, all right, Kingsley, what's your question?
So I wanted to ask, if we use lists, is it a must that we use a double bracket, right?
Yes, you can see that earlier as I did not use double brackets, it gave me some issues. It brought up error.
Yeah,
So
but apart
yeah,
from this example, I
yes,
want
it
to
is a
use
must.
the
It is a must.
okay.
Okay, so now going forward, let me say this one too. You can have this one age. Okay, let me say ages, and then you say ages is equal to, you write list, you open double brackets, and then you put all of these things inside. And by the time you run the program, by the time you use the print statements over it, so print ages, if you run it, it's going to give you also a list just exactly like the one we have earlier. All right, so that is how it works. You can create a list in two ways. Way number one is by putting everything directly in square brackets. Way number two is by using the list method, in which you type the word list and open double brackets and put all the elements inside. All right, Blessing, may I have your question?
Please, sir, why the double brackets
Well, it is
instead
the
of the
it
double
is
colon?
not double column, it's double bracket too. Well, it is actually for technical reasons. So that is how it's been designed. And what I can say is that it's in order to avoid some kind of a mix-up, in order to avoid some mix-up, okay? Because sometimes, so that the compiler can be able to understand what you're trying to do, it will differentiate it from some other things that look similar to this same method, okay? So it's a deliberate mechanism from the people that wrote Python, but I cannot really say much concerning the reason why it has to be double this thing, but it's more of the computer science thing than what we can just discuss here. Okay, but it is how Python is being developed, how Python 3 is being developed. That is how it is. It is a requirement, and I think it is a deliberate measure in order to avoid some kind of mix-up for the compiler. The compiler is the wizard that runs this program and presents the result for you. Okay, so in order to just avoid issues with it, is the reason why we have this precaution. That is just the best way I can explain it. But you just know
Okay,
that
sir.
you have to make it double in order to avoid issues. If you made it single, it's going to give issues.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, all right. So now we proceed. So we have we've learned how a list is being produced, okay, and then we've also learned the meaning of lists, what the list is all about. So the next thing is now to see a few things that we can do, with lists, okay. You know, I told you something that it is actually used to store data, values, this and that and that and that. Well, you could do so many things with it. The characteristics of list, like being indexed, I've explained that, being ordered, being changeable, allow duplicates. We are going to have all of that explained too along the line of my explanation. But please let us quickly do a few things with lists. So along the line, I will explain other things, other properties of list. All right. So one of the properties of list I told you earlier is that a list can contain either strings or it can contain any data type. It is not restricted. It can contain values of any data type. For instance, this list contains strings. This one contains integers. And it can also contain a mixture of any data type. It is not forbidden. It will still take it. So if I like, I can say
Floats.
my list is equal to lists Ima, and then I put comma, and then I say 12.5, I put comma, I say 33, I put comma, and I say true, which is Boolean, I put comma. I can say, I think all those data structures have been, all those data types have been enlisted here. There is still one more data type called complex, for complex numbers. It's like a combination of number and the letter J. It's called complex. Okay, it's not really so common, but we use it for mathematical operations involving complex numbers. So it's the reason why it's not really talked about all the time. But it's one of the data types, one of the numeric data types. In Python, we actually have 3 numeric data types, not 2. We have the complex, we have complex, we have integers, and we have floats. But the complex is not really always in use like that, and that's the reason why most teachers will just emphasize on floats and integer. All right, so I've just shown you now that list can contain a combination of numbers or a combination of different data types, and it doesn't matter. It's still a list. It will still work. All right. So if you print it now, say print my list. Okay. If you run the program, you will still have it intact. It doesn't disturb it. It doesn't disturb anything. It's still a list. You see, as you can see. All right. So that is how it goes. So now we come back to this, and just a few. Let's just see a few things, a few stuff we can do with the elements of a list. A few stuff we can do with the elements of a list. Number one, the elements of a list can be printed, which I've shown you before. So you can also use any member. You can use it to do anything whatsoever, because each of them is like variables, but represented by a single variable, which is like the captain variable name. Okay, so if I want to add 20, I want to add 20 to 28. Okay, I can say print, or maybe if I want to display 28, for instance, let me start from here. If I want to display 28, okay, on what index is 28? Who can remind me? On what index is 28?
27.
4.
7 is wrong. 4 is
4.
correct.
Okay, 27.
Yes. So this
28 is 4.
yes, this element 28 is on index 4. We always start our index from 0. So this is 20 is index 0. This one is index 1. This is index 2. This is index 3. This is index 4. So 28 is on index 4. So if I need to display 28 alone, all I just do is to come to this print statement and say print ages, then I open a square bracket and I put the index there, the index number, which is 4. All right. So once I say age is 4, I'm trying to tell Python that, please Python, out of all the elements inside the list called ages, please pick the elements that is on index 4 and display it for me using the print statement. So out of all the elements inside the list called ages, pick the elements on index 4 and display it with the print statement. So that is what I'm trying to tell Python. And if you run it truly and truly, you are going to see it display 28, as you can see. Do you understand that? So which means 28 is the element on index 4. So let's have another example. What if I want to add 28 to 40? Okay, I want to add 28, I want to add this to 40. I can also do it. And if I add 28 to 40 and I display the results, I should be having something like print. You open a bracket, you say ages, okay? Then the square bracket, you put the index of that 28, which is 4, okay, plus, then the index of that
40 is 5.
40, which is 5, right? Okay, good. So you say
Yes.
ages, you put square brackets and you put 5. And so by the time you do that, okay, you run the program, you are going to get the results of 28 plus 40, which is 68. And that is what you have seen here. You can even make it, like a dialogue, all right? You just say the results of 28. Yeah, well, let me just say the results is, and then you close it. You put a comma. You know, you always put a comma to separate variables from the string in the print statement. You can just make it like a conversation or like something like a communication. The result is 68. Okay, so you can do anything you like with it. It will still work. It works like normal variables. It works like just normal variable and nothing more, nothing special again. Okay, so if you come here and you say, let's have another one. You can even concatenate two strings. All right, so let me put it in this one, like what I did here. I adding 2 integers from the list. That's what I did here. Okay, I added 2 integers from the list. Here, I display the elements on index 4. That's what I did here. All right. Index 4 of list ages. I displayed the element on index 4 of list ages. That is what I did here. So here I added 2 integers from the list. Okay. Let me just okay. So let's try to concatenate 2 strings. We all know about concatenation, right? Joining 2 strings together. So let's come to this list of girls, the list of girls. In the list of girls, okay, let's say we want to concatenate Sade with Lizzie, okay? Or I want to make a statement with Sade. I just want to make a statement with Sade. Like I want to make a sentence with Sade. I can say, since I know that Sade is on index, who can tell me what index Sade is on here? Can anybody tell me what index Sade is on?
0.
0.
Right?
0.
Okay.
Yes.
So I want to say Sade loves Ima. All right. So Shade is from the list of girls. Ima is from the list of my list. Okay. So I want to I want to put the two of them in a print statement. So fortunately, both of them are on index 0 in their various lists, in their respective lists. So let's have it like this. I can say, I will just say girls, girls, and then I open a square bracket and put index 0, which represents Shade. Okay. Then you put a comma because it's a print statement. Then before you put the string, then I can say loves, and then a comma again, and I put something like, then I put the one for
My
Ima, that is my list, and open the square bracket and insert the index, which is 0. So if you display it, if you run the program, you are going to have Shade loves Ima. Simple and straightforward. You can do anything you like with the elements of the list, just like what you would have done with a normal variable. The only thing is just that anytime you want to use any of the elements, recognize the index of that element and then put the name of the list where the list that the element belong, attach the name to a square bracket and put the index inside. Python will just go straight and pick that element and use it for you. That is just how it works. All right, Blessing, with your question.
Okay, sir, please, I want to ask a question.
Go
That's
ahead.
my list before the 0. Why is it there?
Just the same way
Why not
you,
the other one where you said 8 plus 8 brackets 5?
because I was trying to add the fourth index of list ages and the fifth index of list ages. I wanted to add the two of them together. The fourth index of list ages happens to be 28. The fifth index of the list ages happens to be 40. So because I wanted to add them together, that is why I said age 4 and age 5. Now, in the case of Shade and Ima, look at this. Ima is the 0th index of the list called my list. So if I want to refer to Ima, I'm going to say my list, then in square brackets 0, because it's the 0th element of the list that is called my list. Maybe the name is confusing you. Maybe I should change it to something else. I can just say
Yes.
mixed. I can say mixed. Mixed is equal to this. So I will just say mixed. I'll just say mixed. Okay, so girls 0 loves mixed 0. Okay, so it's just any list whatsoever, and you can give it any name you like. Just that I used the name called mixed. Okay, because I'm mixing up stuff here. Initially too, I used the name called my list, but I think that name is confusing you. So I've changed it to something. You can put it, it can be anything you like. Okay? Blessing, do you understand?
Yes, sir.
I can even call it book titles. I can say book titles. Okay? You remember that you don't put space in between two variable names. You make it to look like a single name. So when a variable is having multiple words, you use underscore to separate, or you use camel casing. Okay? Camel casing like this. Like that my list that I did earlier. So you start with small letter and then you continue at the beginning of every other word with capital letter. Okay? So that is called camel casing. There's also another one called Pascal casing. Pascal casing is like you use capital letter to begin every single word. That's called Pascal casing. It's also accepted too. You understand? So let me put this one here. This contains data of different types. This particular list here contains data of different types. Okay, so we have Ima, we have this, we have true, we have all the different types, and it's still a list. Okay, So I call it book titles. Okay, maybe for you to just book titles, and then I will also call it the same thing here. You can call it any name you like, or you can give any list any name you like, in as much as it's a name that you can remember. In as much as it's a name that you can remember, and a name that makes meaning to the list, so that you won't get things mixed up. Nothing concerns Python with any name you used, but the name is important to you because you need to use a name that you can remember, or a name that pertains to the list that you are trying to represent. You understand? So that is how it goes. Any question before I continue? All right. So in the absence of, hello, are you all with me? Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
I can hear.
All right. So, like I was saying, you could use the lists in any way you like. You could just use the members of the list anyhow. It will still give you the good results. Just understand it. Okay, so when I want to say here, when I wanted to say Shade loves Ima, all I did was to pick this one, that is girls. Shade comes from the list of girls and it is on index 0. So that is why I said girls index 0. Then loves, okay. Ima is on the list of book titles and it's on index 0. So I said book titles, then index 0. And then it gave me the results, which is a perfect result. Do you understand? So that is how it goes. Now, you could use the list members to do just anything. What only matters is that you should know how to address them, so that Python will know exactly where to go to pick the values that you need, and then it will do anything you want it to do with those values. So that is how it works. All right. So you should also take note that list allows duplicates. You can duplicate it too, it doesn't matter. You can duplicate the elements inside. So whether you duplicate the elements, it doesn't change it from being a list, and it doesn't invalidate it. The only thing is just that each of the duplicates will have their own separate index. So Python is really concerned about the index and not concerned about the elements or the kind of elements or any kind of repetition that you did, right, when putting the elements in the list. Nothing concerns Python like that. I believe you understand me now. So now the next thing we want to learn now is how to add elements to a list. So let me just form a new tab. If you are using this online Python, okay, you can just click on this. Okay, you can open a new tab just the way you can open a new tab in a browser. You can also do the same thing with online Python. It does not disturb what you were doing before. Okay, if I want to go back to the former program, I will just click on this one and it will take me back there, and everything is still running there. So let me title this one with let me title it as slice. Okay, I want to use this place to explain slice, but meanwhile, this one, there is one more thing I need to explain to you here. Okay, and it is that you can add, sorry, to add a new member. Let me put it on this one. Let me call it features. Or list operations. Okay, good. List operations. I want to explain list operations here. Okay? To add a new member to a list. To add a new member to a list, all right? To add a new member to a list, you use the append function or method. Okay, so to add a new member to a list, you use the append method. Append. Okay, let me quickly explain that to you. Append means to attach. Okay, so let's have, for instance, let's have something like this. Let's say we have a list called books. Let's say we have a list called books, or let me say book authors. Book authors. Book authors is let's say we have a list called book authors and we have Shakespeare. Okay, Shakespeare. Okay, who can tell me another list of another book author? Chinua Achebe. That's the problem with Africans. We don't read books. So we don't even know authors. You don't read books, not to talk of even knowing all authors. Anyway, another one, if you don't know the other ones, at least you should know church authors. Sam Adeyemi. So we have Adeyemi, all right. We also have Pastor Chris. So let's put Chris. Okay, this is a list of book authors. Now you have created the list already. At least, if you want to print, you can say print book authors, and then you run the program, and it will give you the results. Shakespeare, Chinua, okay, and then Adeyemi, Chris, and so on and so forth. Okay, so what if I now remember that, oh, sorry, there is one more author I want to add to the list. As you are adding new members to the list, mind you, the new members you add to the list will be added to the back. It will be added to the back. Okay, so because it is a list, all right, so any new member coming in will be added to the back, although there is a way you can do it in such a way that you can add members in the middle. I'm going to show you that too, but let's quickly do how to add members to the back first. Okay, so to add any new member coming in, we'll go straight to the back, so which means anything new coming up now will add to Chris. You understand? It will add to Chris, so let's do that. So when you say print, and then you say, okay, sorry, when you say append, what you're just going to do is that to use the append function, you call the name of the list, okay, and you write append, and then you put it there. So what's the name of the list I'm using here now? I'm using book authors, okay. You write append, and then open a bracket and put the author there. So let's say we have a new author called Blessing, and then we put it there, Blessing. Okay, by the time, what you are just telling Python now is that please add this Blessing, okay, append it or add it to the list called book authors. That is what you are trying to tell Python to do. Add Blessing to the list called book authors, and truly by the time you run it, you are going to have, okay, let me do the print function now. So after that, when you say print book authors, okay, this time around, one more element is added, and then you see Blessing. Okay, so when you say Shakespeare, Chinua Adeyemi, Chris, and then you have Blessing. All right, so Shefam. If I want to add Shefam as a new author, what am I going to do? What am I going to type? Shefam, are you there? All right, Kingsley, let me hear from you.
Okay, I saw the technique you used there when you said book author, then you added full stop and append, so you used the full stop there, right?
All right, so in that case, now I'm going to honor you with adding a new element with your name. So which means if I say book authors, so I will say append, and then I put your name there, Kingsley, and by the time we run the program, we will see that bless where is Kingsley now? Okay, sorry, I didn't put this book authors inside. Okay, good. So by the time we run this program, Kingsley is now being added. So we have Shakespeare. So this is the original one. So let me just remove these empty prints so you can easily relate. Okay, so by the time you run it, you're having it this way. So the original list I created had Shakespeare, Chinua, Adeyemi, and Chris. So, but this one now, the second one after the append had blessings added, and then the third one after that append, okay, got Kingsley added. So that is how it works. Someone is raising hand. Okay, I'm with you.
Okay, sorry for holding you back, please.
All right.
It's because of the full stop you used there. Like, could we use when you
You
say
cannot use anything apart from full stop now.
okay.
Well, we don't call it a full stop, we call it dots. So we have the dot append, and then it works. That is, you can't do anything. As in, you cannot use anything else apart from that dot. Okay, all right. So that is it. If we want to add a new member to the list. So what if we want to remove a new number? To remove any member, or let me say, before removing, let me say to replace any member from the list, to replace any member from that list. Okay, so what do? Let me say I'm angry with Shakespeare. No, I'm not angry with Shakespeare, but something happened here. Shakespeare seems to be the only one that is not African among the list of authors I put here. So let's say I want to remove him and I want to have a complete list of Africans alone. All right, so if I want to put Richard into the list, okay, let me even put my name. At least I'm a writer too, so I can just say, all I just need to do, there's no special thing there. You just assign a new value. You just assign a new value to that place where you, to that index where you want it, where you want something to happen. So for instance, I need to replace Shakespeare, and Shakespeare happens to be on index 0 of the list called book authors. So what I would just do is to say book authors, then I put the index there, which is index 0, because I'm targeting to replace Shakespeare, and Shakespeare happens to be on index 0. So I'll just say book authors index 0 is equal to any new person I want to put. So let me put Ima there, and then that is all. Okay, so by so doing, I have been able to replace the element called Shakespeare that was on index 0. I have replaced it with Ima. So, which means that the list of book authors, okay, the element on index 0 is now replaced with Ima. All right? So, let's run it and see. Print. Okay, let me say print book authors. Okay, so let's see what's going to happen this time around. Now you see that Ima has successfully replaced Shakespeare. Just with that operation, Ima has replaced Shakespeare. So that is how to do it. Can Blessing, are you there? I think there is another. Ruth, are you there with me? Is Ruth online? Ruth?
Yes, please.
All right, Ruth, can you tell me how I can replace Chris with your name? How can I replace Chris with Ruth?
Okay. How can you replace Chris with
Yes.
Ruth? Okay. I'm coming, please.
Okay.
2, 3, 4, 5. You put the just the way you did this last one now, but the only thing that will change is the index number.
Okay. So how did I do the last one?
Oh, instead of zero,
Mm-hmm.
you put 5 there.
Okay. All right. So let's work it out. Now, what I'm going to do here is to I will call book authors, okay, book authors, and then put a square bracket, and I put 5, all right. So then I replace it with Ruth. So by so doing, when the program is run, print book authors. Okay, so let's see what happens. Blessing, Kingsley is going to fight you. Because if you check the examples that we have here, you see that this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kingsley is on element 5. And Kingsley that has been celebrated, you now want to remove Kingsley. So Kingsley, are you going to fight? Or you will leave her?
Oh no, no, making carry cup.
All right, so Ruth, next time, because Chris is your target, all right? So you count from elements 0, 1, 2, and 3. You always start your counting from 0. So Chris is your target, so which happens to be the element on index 3. So instead of saying 5, you would have said 3. Okay? So by the time you run the program, okay, so you have Kingsley back, and we have Ruth replacing Chris, and everybody is fine. So that is how it goes. Now we have just learned about how to replace any member of a list. So what you are learning next is, I'm stopping this class exactly 10 o'clock. Wherever we stop. All right, so another thing again we want to learn is how to remove any member of the list. So in case you just like, okay, I want to take away something, maybe the list is too long, I just want to remove some people there. Okay, so to remove any member of the list, so you use this, use the keyword called .delete. You use the word delete rather, not dot. Use delete, but if you want to do that, you are going to type in front of it the what is it called? The name of the list and the index of the element you want to remove. All right, take for instance, I want to remove, who should I remove from this list? Okay, let's say I want to remove Chinua. I want to remove Chinua from the list, and Chinua happens to be an element on index 1. So Chinua is an element on index 1 because Ima is index 0, Chinua is index 1. So if I want to remove Chinua, so all I just need to do is to come right here and say, and use and use delete, just del alone, okay? So by the time you put del, you now put the stuff in front of it, which is authors, okay, books, authors, then index what? Index 1, because I want to remove Chinua, all right? So by the time you do that, if you use the print statement now, and then you put the book authors there, you are going to have a new list with Chinua deleted, as you can see. All right, so I believe you are all following me. Please let me know if you are not getting some things right. I believe it's going on smooth, right? Am I still communicating?
Yes. Yes, it's going on.
Okay, all right. So now we have been able to remove that element just by using del, as in delete, okay? And then you put the name of the list and the index of the number, or in the index number of the index of the element you want to remove, and you put it there, and voila, that element is taken off. All right. If you want to pull down a whole list, just put del and the name of the list, okay? To pull down a whole list, okay, use del and the name of the list, book authors. You don't need to put any index in the front. So when you just say del and the name of the list, which is book authors, okay? If you run the program, the list will be pulled out. So after this book authors, when you say print book authors, there won't be anything to display. So let's run it. You see that it says name error, book authors is not defined, just because you have pulled it down, you have deleted it. So as far as Python is concerned here, it cannot find it, so it's no longer there. You understand? So del is used to pull down the old list, but when you say del and you put a square bracket and you put the index, it will not pull down the old list, rather it will only focus on the element that is on that particular index and then remove the element from it. So that is how it works. Is there any question regarding that? Anything that is not clear? All right, you can ask a question.
Please, I'm not clear, sir.
Okay, what I was trying to say is that if you, let me put it this way, if you want to pull down the whole list, if you want to remove the whole list, that is, you want to delete the list, you don't want it to exist again, just say del, that is delete, only del, del, and then put the name of the list you want to delete, and Python will delete it. So when I did that, and I actually run the program, so when I run the program, it was giving me this. It says name book authors is not defined, just because the list has been pulled down. So Python is no longer saying it. So the interpreter is no longer saying it. So, but if you want to delete a specific element in the list, that is a particular element, not just everything, but a particular element, then what you do is that you write del, you write the name of the list, but open a square bracket like you've been doing since, and then put the index of that particular element that you want to remove, and it will do that for you. So, for instance, now, if I want to if I want to remove, let's say I want to remove from this list. Let me run this program again. This is the last list. Let's say I want to remove Adeyemi from the list. I want to remove Adeyemi. Adeyemi is on index what? Adeyemi is on index what?
Index 1.
Yes, I'm trying to explain to the guy that just asked the question. Adeyemi is on index 1. So I need to be sure whether you understand me. Okay, let me say I want to remove Kingsley, for instance. Kingsley is on index what? Kingsley is on index what?
Index 4.
Wow.
Kingsley is on index 4. Because I want to remove Kingsley, I will say del. I will put the name of the list, and then I will put 4 inside the square brackets. And Python will just go there and then locate the elements on index 4 and then take it off. Okay? So, okay, please, I did not. Okay, I think I did that. So we have Ima, Chinua, Adeyemi, Ruth. Okay, index 4. I didn't even count it. I only followed you. It's not on index 4. Kingsley is on index 5, not 4. We start counting from 0. So let's do that. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So Kingsley is on index 5, not 4.
Okay.
So
It depends on the line we are running.
when you put 5,
You must always take it from the first list.
yes, from the most recent lists. You must always take it from the most recent list because Python is working on each of them as axis. So every result that you have here is the work that it did on the previous list. So if I want to remove anything now, I'm not looking at the first list. This is the list I'm dealing with, which is the most recent one. So which means if I want to remove Chinua, now, Chinua is on index 1. So I will just come here, using the most recent list, I will just say del book authors, square brackets, and I put 1. Okay? So by the time I print the book authors again, okay, and I run the program, you're going to have this. So at the end of the day, Chinua is gone. Chinua is gone, and then you have the others. So anyone that you target to remove, all you just need to do is to identify the index of that one, then put del in front, and then do what you have to do, and it will work very fine. But if you want to pull down the whole list, okay, you are not going to describe any index. Just put only del and then the name of the list, okay, and then you run it. You see that it has pulled it down. The previous ones are still there, but by the time it gets to line, when it's about to run line 23, it now tells you, on line 23, there is an issue. The issue is that book authors is not defined. What is it trying to tell you? It's trying to tell you that it is no longer existed, so it could not locate any book authors, talk less of being able to print it. It could not locate it, so therefore it could not print it. That is what it's just trying to tell you here. Okay? So, because you have removed it, because it's no longer existent, because you said del book authors, so it removed book authors, and then by the time you now say print book authors, you are asking it to display something that has been removed. So that thing is nowhere to be found. So that's the reason why it's saying that name book authors is not defined, which means it's looking for it, but it could not find it. And so it tells you that it's not defined, that it does not exist. It wasn't created, it was not named. Do you understand? But that was not the issue when it was coming from up to down, because Python interprets line by line. So it worked on this line, worked on this line, worked on this line, gave result on each line. But by the time it got to this particular line, it could not get results. It could not get what it needed. So it had to push out an error. Is that very clear to you all now? So okay, yeah, Adewale, your question.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes. What if you want to remove more than one author?
You remove them one at a time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, sir.
All right, there is something I want to teach you. then maybe we could apply that. So let's experiment that with what I want to teach you now and see if it would work. Very surprisingly, I've not even made that attempt to remove more than one. But yes, this command that you are using can only take one at a time. But if you want to remove more than one, then it depends on this topic I'm about to teach you now, which is slicing. But before I teach you slicing, I think there's still something that I have not explained to you. So let's see that. The pop method removes the last element of a list. So let me say I have a list. I now said bookstore, book authors, okay? Dot pop. Let's see what this one is going to do. Remember that the last, okay, let me remove this del, okay? The last element that you're going to have, okay, if I don't remove this one, it's going to give issues. So let me just put this out and put 3 dots just to deactivate it. All right. I put just to deactivate it so it doesn't disturb our program run. So now back to the program. If you take notes, this is the last. Let me run it again just to have a fresh look. Okay. So this is the last stuff that we have here. This is the latest list that we are dealing with. Ima, Adeyemi, Ruth, Blessing. So we want to see what bookauthors.pop is going to do for us. All right. When we say bookauthors.pop, I told you that the effect is that to remove the last element of a list. So let's see if that is true. So by the time you run this program, let me print it. Print book authors. So we run it. And then, bingo, it happened. It has removed Blessing from the list. So each time you are popping and you are popping and you are popping, it will be removing the last elements in each case. Okay? So that is how it goes. Then there is also something I've not told you about lists. Okay, I think there is another one called push. See, all these functions, you will get them in the video. Let me just, this is just a run through. It's supposed to be a run through because I want to touch the old 4. But apparently I won't be able to do that tonight. I've spent too much time on lists. Somebody is raising hands. Kingsley, yes, can I help you?
So I want to ask in this the first line now, if I still want to remove root, I will just have to write bookauthors.pub, then print book authors. Is that so?
Exactly. If I repeat that pop again, if I repeat this line again, if I repeat it again like this, okay? So if I run the program, the second repetition will remove Ruth and it will remain only Ima and Adeyemi. If I keep repeating it and keep repeating it like that, it will keep removing the last elements on and on. So is that clear to you? Is that clear to you?
Yes.
Okay, good. So now there is something, list is wide, like there are a lot of things you can do with lists. You can also sort it. Sorting the list means that you arrange everything in alphabetical order. Okay, it can also be done. You can also sort it numerically as well. All right. So there is a lot that you can do with lists. A lot. You are going to learn everything from the video that I would upload soon. Okay. But let's just quickly move to some other things that will need my explanation, so that we can call it a day. I don't want this class to exceed 10 o'clock. But the understanding that you have with lists is going to help you to understand the remaining ones. by the time I put up their videos. Or maybe I should just do it this way. Maybe I should just cover everything about lists. You understand? So maybe I should just cover everything about lists and then explain the other ones so that you can use the idea to understand the rest. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay. I'm going to teach you how to copy list. There's a lot. Let me just quickly teach you the slicing. All right, so let's quickly work on slicing. I think it's very important thing for you to learn about lists. So let's quickly work on slicing and we'll move. Come in. Okay. Good. So I've explained the pop, right? Let me see one more method. If you put this thing here, push. This push might require. Okay, yes. You cannot use push. You can only do pop. All right, good. Okay. All right. So that is that. Well, there is another thing again that I want to teach you. I want to tell you about lists before we go into slicing. All right. It is very important for you to understand that the elements of a list can also be pointed using negative numbers. But when you use negative numbers, it starts from the back. All right. I totally forgot to tell you that when I was explaining the first one. Okay. So please, adding it to this one, let me just say that you can use negative numbering for the index of a list. Okay. If you do so, the compiler, the Python compiler, interpreter rather, the Python interpreter points to the list elements. It points to the list elements from behind. That is from the last. Okay. So let's just quickly have an example like that. E.g., if I say print, let's go back to this list. You know the list of ages. Okay. You know the last element is 22. So if I say print -1, please mind you, if I say print ages, and I put -1, okay, -1. By the time I run it, I expect to have the value 22. Do you understand it now? Because it starts from the back. Whenever you use the negative indexing, okay, the members of the list will start from the back. The pointer will start from the back. So if I say -3, -3 is going to be what elements? Please, who can tell me what -3 would be?
70.
70 is correct. So if I say print ages -3, okay, and I even add it, or maybe I add it to add it to print ages minus 3, and I add it to um, 20, which is ages 0. Okay, I'm going to get a result. That will be 70 plus 20, expectedly 90. So we have it there, 90 as the answer. All right. So the fact that you use the negative index and you use positive index here doesn't mean, or you use another index that is not negative, it doesn't mean that it will not work. Python knows exactly what it's doing. You should be the one to know what you are doing. Do you understand it now? So negative indexing can help us to get values from the back, and everything will still be very fine. All right. So that is that. Yes, who is asking the question?
Sorry, I'm just coming in. So negative index starts from 1, right? Not 0.
No, yes, it starts from -1 and not 0. Zero
From
is 0. 0 is 0 as in beginning, and nothing can change it. But when you are using a negative index, it starts from -1, and that is starting from the back. So the more negative it becomes, the more towards the left it goes from the back.
Okay.
Yeah. So whether I say print ages 9, or whether I say print ages 9, or I say print ages -1, whether I say print ages 9 or print ages -1, it's going to give me exactly the same thing, which is 22. No difference. It's just you that should know what you're doing, and everything will be fine. So, shall we move on now? Slicing is one of the most important parts I want to teach you. So I can use that part to explain whether we can be able to use it to delete multiple values at a time. Okay, so slicing. I open a new tab on my online Python stuff here. So I'm naming the new tab slicing. So you can, if you go here, you will see what you did in the first part. If you come here, you see what we did in the second part. If you click here, now you're seeing what we're doing in the third part. All right. So we've done a whole lot of things so far. We have actually, changed the element of the list. We have done this. We have done that. So this one, I need your attention, which is over on this one, slicing. I need your full attention on slicing. Okay. So now, this slicing is actually used to to pack a range of values across a list. Okay. It's just to put so many things across a list. So to select values within a particular range. Yeah, I think that's the best English. So slicing is used to select values of a list serially across a range, across a given range or a specified range. All right, slicing is used to select values of a list serially across a specified range. Okay, or let me say within a specified range. English hard. Within a specified range. Okay, all right, so let's quickly see how that works. But then, to slice a list, we use the list name, that is the name of the list, okay? And then we put this thing in front, the square bracket, and then put two values, A and B, okay? Please take notes that the first value the first value represents the starting point, and the second value represents the ending points. That is, it represents the end points minus 1. So let me put it that way. The second value represents the endpoints minus 1. I'm going to explain that too, what it means. Okay, so let's have an example. Let's say we have something like let me just pick the list of ages here. Okay, let me use this one, age. All right, just follow me, you will understand what I'm trying to do. So we have age, okay? Now, this age is like the age of 10 people, and I want to select from here to here. I want to select from this range, okay? Who can tell me the indexes, okay? What is the index of the first element in that range I selected? What is the index of the first element in the range?
Index 2.
Index 2 is correct. So what is the index of the last element in the range?
7.
This is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what I'm going to do is that I can say print ages, or print age, in this case age. Then I will just say, 2, comma. So the last element now, which is 7, the last index is 7, but instead of me to put 7, I would rather put 8. There is a reason why they did it that way. Okay, I know somebody will ask me that why did we put a number higher? It's for a reason, it's for some reasons. So don't let us go too deep into the technical aspects, but let us just try and understand that is the rule, that is the way it goes. You understand it now? So, all right, now please always take notes that this 8 that I wrote here, technically, in the brain of the computer, in the brain of the interpreter, it means 7. It means 7. You may be hearing some sound though. Some people are celebrating Christmas ahead. Banger. That is sound of banger. So we have age. We have 2. The starting point is the starting point. The index of the starting point is the index of the starting point. You understand? So nothing about it. The index of the starting point is the index of the starting point, and that is it. Straightforward. All right? So what is different is that this ending point, if you see 8 here, the 8 is not real 8. The 8 is actually 7 in the real
7.
sense. You understand? So by the time, and just to prove it, you will see that Python is just going to display from 30 to 70 for us. So let's see how it works. So say print age 28. Okay, let's run the program. Something is wrong. Okay, sorry, it's not comma. Sorry, I was carried away that it's not comma. It's actually column. Please, I'm sorry about that. And I'm going to correct this one too. Okay, it's not comma, it's supposed to be column. That was why we had an error. So let's run it again. Okay, you can see that it started from 30 and it ended at 70. Okay, so that's how it goes. Okay, so if anything you intend, it is going to stop at 1 ahead of that thing. So, which means if I say print, so the work of this one now is that it selects list elements within what? Index 2 and index 7. That is what this one does. That's what this one did rather. So Now, if I want to do another one, let me say age, you open a square bracket and you put 3, and you put 3, and then just ordinary something here. You only indicated the starting points. You didn't indicate any ending points. Python automatically understands that you want it to start from this place, from this third index, which is 25, and end at the last one. So when you don't put anything at the back, Python automatically understands that you want to take it from that point to the end. So by the time you run it now, you are going to see that happen. So you run the program and you see that happen. So it starts from 25, okay, picked it from index 3 and runs it to the end. So if you do it here like this now and say print, you said age, you open the square bracket and you put, you did not put anything in the middle, but you put something at the back, which means you want it to end at the third index. All right, so let me just put this one here. This one selects list elements within, okay, from index 3 to the end or to the last. Okay, so what this one is going to do, it will select list elements from the very first, okay, to the third index. Because we said 4, so it's going to be 4 minus 1. So which means we are starting from 20 and it's going to end on index 3. That is, it's going to end at 25. So let's see whether that is true. By the time you run it, you see that it ends at 25 and everything works fine. And that's just how it goes. All right, so you got any question concerning this slicing? Although this is not still the end of the whole thing. We still want to do a few more things on this. But that is how to slice a list. Now, I want us to perform an experiment together and see if it works. I want to try to delete a set of value from a particular range, within a particular range. So let's say we want to delete. I just want to see if it will work. It should work anyway, but I never did it. I don't know. I just want to experiment it to see if it will work. So let's do print age 1 and let's say 5. Okay, so what I expect now is that from index 1, which is 15, to index 4, that's 1, 2, I'm starting from here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I want them wiped out. So let's see if it works. So by the time you run the program now, okay, let's say you print it, you now print age. That is, you print the list called age after doing that. So let's run it. Yeah, it worked. So we were able to wipe out values within a particular range, okay, using the slice function. We just told the guy that, okay, all elements from 1 to 5, please take them off. I don't want to see them. And it actually worked. Okay, so any question concerning this? Let me just add it to it like that and say, to remove elements of a list from within a range. To remove the elements of a list from within a range of index values. Let me say within an index range. To remove elements of a list from within an index range. So just use delete, and then you put the name of the list and then the the range of the stuffs, okay, from index 1 to index 4. That is, you are going to put 5, but you know in your mind that it is 4 that is going to work. And then you run it, and then it works very fine. And that's how it goes. So, do you have any question concerning that before we move on? So, well, we've really been able to touch a lot, okay, over on this topic. I think we should call it a day. Just trying to, I'm buying time, trying to see if there is something I'm supposed to explain that I have not yet explained. I'm trying to buy time to just see if there is something very important concerning lists that I've not mentioned. Just hold on before we call it a day. I know there are some other properties I have not touched, like I'm just trying to save time because to take time again, but just hold on, please give me a second. Let me check something. Let me think. What have I not mentioned? What have I not mentioned? Blah 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 blah. Okay. I think I've not talked about. Okay. I've not talked about creating a list out of the list. I've not talked about creating a list out of a list. Okay. So all you just need to do in that case, if you want to create a list from an existing list, just to create a list, from an existing list, okay, so you can still use this same function. All right, so what you are going to do is that the new list that you want to put, you put the name on the left hand side, okay, so just say, let me say new age, okay, new age. You can use anything you like, all right, you can use any name you like. It's not compulsory you use new age. You can use any name you like, but in this case now we are just trying to say new age. So new age is equal to, all right, the list of age, the original age list that we had, okay, you open a bracket and then you can choose the range of values that you want. Maybe we want to choose from the beginning here to the end here, to 28. So we can have 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we can just say from 0 to 4. But instead of 4, you are going to put 5 there, as we know, as we usually do it. So we are going to say age. You can start from 0. You can put empty there. It doesn't mean. Python understands that you mean 0. Then you put what? You put 5 there. So by the time you say new age is equal to age, and then you do this and you put 5, okay? By the time you run the program, okay, let me print it. You say print new age. Somebody's mic is on. Can you mute your mic? If your mic is on, please mute it. So when you say print new age, I think someone's mic is still on. Okay. So when you say print new age, then you run the program. It's just going to create a new list for you, and then it's going to give it a new list for you. Then all the members will be within the range that you specified. You can even use this method to split a list into 2, and then you can also join 2 lists, okay? So let me call this one new age 1. Let me call it new age 1, all right? And then I call new age 1, and then let me call this one new age 2. So new age 2 is going to be, I'm going to select from what range now, as if I'm trying to split the original list into 2. So I selected from 0 to, that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the remaining one from 40 now, that is going to be like from 5 to the end. So I'm going to bring it like this, from 5 to the end. Let's have it like this, from 5 to the end. All right, so I call it new age 2. So let me print it now. You have new H2. So when you print new H2, you run it, you are going to have the remaining part of the list on the other side. Did I make any mistake somewhere? Because I'm expecting not 22, I'm expecting values from 5 to 22, from 40 to 22. So what went wrong? Oh. Okay. All right, so we have this one 7053. The previous one was 20, 40, 50, 70, 53. And that is 20, 40, 50, 70, 53. Okay, it's working with the previous, with the immediate one, since I have removed some values from it. So it's working with this one. The reason why we have 22 is that this is the latest list called age, because I have pulled out some values from it earlier using the del statement, using the del method. I use the del method to remove some values from the list. So if I want to, if I wanted to create a new list from what I did, okay, I would have actually given it a name here if I did not want the original list to be affected. If I didn't want this original list to be affected, because now the original list is affected, Python is now seeing the list. From this line downward, Python is beginning to see the list called age as this new one, that was formed after you removed from index 1 to index 4. So the new list that we got for age, that is what Python is seeing as age now. And that is the reason why we had 22 here, because this is the list it's working with. This is the list we got when we removed some values, when we deleted some values, okay? This was the resulting list that we had. So in this resulting list, we now selected from 1 to index 4 using this line 17. And then it gave us this value, which means it started from 20 and ended at 53. Okay, but now when I now said from index 5 to the end, it only chose 22 because 22 is the only value remaining, whereas I was expecting it to work with this first one. So if I didn't want that kind of thing to happen, if I don't want the original list to be affected, this is what I can do. I can give this one a new name. Okay, this deletes, this one I deleted. I can say new age is equal to this. So new age is equal to delete age 1 to 5. So by the time it deletes age 1 to 5, the list that will be remaining is going to be called new age. So if we do it that way, then the original list called age will not be overwritten. It will still be existent. So let's say print new age, and then let's also say print age, just for you to see that the two of them will coexist as because of the fact that I have changed, I have changed I renamed it. I renamed the results. I gave the results that will come out from here. I gave it a new name, so that the old name age will not be overwritten with the outcome of what happens. So I want to see whether this age now remains maintained, and this new age is carrying the new list. I want to see that happen. So in that case, let me just cut out this one first. I'm going to put them back. So when we run the program now, all right, so Python did not allow me to perform that function. It didn't allow me to perform the function of using del and then equating the results to something. It didn't allow me to do that. So we are just going to leave it that way, because even if I do it the other way around, it's not going to work. It's not going to work, because the ideal thing is that the thing that you are forming newly will be on the left, while the thing that you want to create it from will be on the right. So if you switch it the other way around, it will not work. it won't. So the moment you just delete it, the elements, it begins to bear the new name. So forget about everything that happens. Because see, let me just show you now. If you put it the other way around and you put new age, it will not work. Trust me. So let's run it and let's see. You see that it won't work. So according to programming or Python, what the thing that you want to, the new thing you want to do will be on the left, while the old thing will be, the other things that you want to get it from will be on the right hand. So not the other way around. So that's the reason why it didn't work. So let's just put this thing back to the way it was before. Undo. Okay. So I'm going to put this one just here, and now I will allow that list called age to be okay. All right, so yeah, there we go. So let me say I want to split that list age now. Okay, and then I can also copy. It is very possible for me to duplicate a list. It is very possible to duplicate a list. Okay, so if you want to duplicate a list, you are going to use the .copy method. .copy method is used to copy a list or to duplicate a list. So which means that what I was trying to achieve there, I can keep a copy of that original list by saying, so let me do this now. I can do like this. I can say copy age. Copy age is equal to, let me do it here. Let me do it before the deletes. Let me do it before the deletes here. Okay, so we have it like, okay, to copy or duplicate, to copy or duplicate a list. All right, to copy or duplicate a list, we use the .copy method. So what you are going to do here, what you are going to do for the .copy is that just put the name of the list there. So you can say, we want to copy the list age. Okay, we want to give it a new name called age copy. We want to use just any, you can give it any name you like, mind you, but I have chosen to give it the name called age copy. So you just say age copy is equal to, you now say age dot, okay, dot copy, then you open a bracket. Okay, by the time you print age copy now, by the time you print age copy, it is going to give you exactly this same list that we have in the above. All right, so let's see whether it works. Let me cut this one out just to show us that it works. So I'm expecting to have and then let me just deactivate this part. Okay, even this one that I cut out, I can just simply deactivate it. I just want to show you so that it's only that result that will come out. Okay, so let's run the program, and then you see that it is there. So I created the list here. Okay, I created the list here, and I copied it here, and I printed the copied version, and it gave me exactly that list in the results. So copy function is used to copy the elements of a list. You might need to do that at one time or the other. For example, in this case now, that I wanted to make use of the copy, All right, so everything is back to normal. So I want to split this one now by using the age copy. So let me split this one because the original age has been affected by the del thing that we did here. So I want to split it from the beginning to the middle and from the middle to the end. So to split it now, I'm trying to split it into two different lists, and then you see the result here. Now I've succeeded in breaking it into two different lists, and then I call the first one new age 1, I call the second one new age 2. All right, so I have been able to split a long list into two lists by using this same slicing method. So slicing makes us to be able to do a lot of things with lists. You understand it now? So what I'm going to teach you now is the sorting. But before I go into the sorting, all right, let me just teach you how to join lists. Well, to join lists is very, very easy. Very, very super easy. All you just need to do is to use plus and the list will be joined. It is that easy. Just use plus and the list will be joined. So which means these two lists now that I split, if I want to put them together, if I want to put them back together, all right, all I just need to do is to put a plus in between. All right, so let me see. To join two lists into one, you use the plus operator. Okay, so let's have an example. We can say new age 1, or let me say joined age is equal to new age 1. You can use any name you like. I decided to use join age. New age 1, then plus new age 2. And then by the time you have that, okay, so you say print join age. You will see that the result will be a combination of the two lists into one. You see that the two lists here that we have here and the one we have here too, they have both joined together. So that is how it goes. Any question before I continue? So we don't have a question yet. So let me quickly explain to you that how we can sort lists. All right. So lists can be sorted in alphabetical order or numeric order of magnitude. You can sort them in alphabetical order or in numeric order of magnitude. Very, very possible. All right, so to do this, we use the sorts method. To do this, we use the sort method. So let's see how it works. You know what I'm going to do? Let me first sort it. Okay, I'm going to sort it first. Then I will now print. I guess I'm the one making mistake. Okay, you just sort it out first. After sorting, you now print ages. Okay, so the first line you sort, the next line you print. So let me see if that will work. I think this is the right thing to do. Yeah, it's the right thing to do. I was the one making mistakes. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. So we have this thing has been sorted in alphabetic order now. All right, in a numeric order. So if I do the same thing to this one too, we have girls dot sorts. So you first tell Python to sort them. After you tell Python to sort them, you now print dels. By now, Python must have sorted them in the memory, so you now print dels. So by the time you run it, you see that you arrange them in order: Blessing, Lizzie, Ruth, and Shade. So that is sorting for you. That is how to sort list. Okay. So I think I've really covered a lot on lists so far. I've taught you how to join lists, how to sort lists. I've also told you how to copy lists. I've told you how to remove items, how to add items, how to change items, how to access it. All right. So the thing I've not taught you on list is looping on list, and I'm going to teach you that after the after I teach you loops, because I've not taught you loops yet. So we are going to leave that to that time. All right. So I don't think there is anything about list again that I've not touched. Don't think there's anything I've not touched. So in that case, I believe we should kind of call it a day.